buenos días, buenas tardes, or buenas noches, depende en la hora. I want to give you guys an example of how to use the content that we've been working on in Unit 4 so far. And to do that, I'm going to talk to you sobre mi familia. Esta es mi familia. So we're going to look at ser, adjective agreement, tener, and possessive adjectives with this, as well as the use of de in possession. So, empecemos. Remember, as you're listening, listen for what you understand. Don't worry about what you don't understand at first, and try and make sense. We know that when we're talking about mi familia, what would make sense in that context? Entonces, vamos. Esta es mi familia. Somos 6 personas. Tengo una hermana menor. Se llama Lisa. Ella tiene el pelo moreno y los ojos azules. Su hijo tiene 4 años. Él es precioso. Yo tengo una hija y ella tiene 13 años y es morena. Los ojos de ella son de color café. Mis padres son viejos, son cañosos. Mi mamá es muy paciente, pero mi papá es impaciente. Me gusta mucho nuestra familia. So briefly pause this. Think about what you understood. You can always go back and listen to it again, which would be an excellent idea. Otherwise, we're going to move forward. And this is what I had said. Esta es mi familia. Somos 6 personas. Tengo una hermana menor. Se llama Lisa. Ella tiene el pelo moreno y los ojos azules. Su hijo tiene 4 años. Él es precioso. Yo tengo una hija. Ella tiene 13 años y es morena. Los ojos de ella son de color café. Mis padres son viejos, son cañosos. Mi mamá es muy paciente, pero mi papá es impaciente. Me gusta mucho nuestra familia. So in here we'll notice that we conjugate ser and tener to match the subject. And as well, I had mentioned last week that people who are familiar with Spanish or native speakers tend not to use subject pronouns when the ending tells us exactly who we're talking about. So with somos, the only possible subject is we, nosotros. With tengo, it is just yo. That's it. Notice then I start using subject pronouns as well as subjects when it's uncertain as to who we're talking about or what we're talking about. Drop it again once I've already identified. Mis padres son viejos, son cañosos. So I can drop the ellos because I've just told you they, or my parents. So that's how, just make sure that you're memorizing how to conjugate those 2 verbs. It's pure memorization. Come up with any tricks that you can to help you understand them, kind of like how we talked about last week. Now when it comes to using adjectives, almost always an adjective is going to go behind the item that we are talking about. So hermana, my younger sister, hermana menor. We first identify who we're talking about or what we're talking about, and then we describe it. If you think about that, it's much more logical than in English, where we can say, I have a pink, fluffy, striped, sparkly snake. How many of you were thinking of a snake as I gave you all of those descriptors beforehand? Most likely none of you were. And so in English, in my mind, we kind of have it backwards. So we have hermana menor, ojos azules, y that's it. So those go behind. Also notice that they have to agree. So menor has to agree in number. It does not need to agree in gender. That's one of the irregulars in that sense. So, but una does. una hermana menor. They're all singular. Una matches hermana, which is feminine. Same idea with pelo moreno. It is brown hair that we're talking about. She may own this, but it's the hair that we're describing here, not my sister. So that makes it masculine. Pelo is masculine, therefore moreno is masculine, and el is masculine. Just like in English, we don't say hairs, we say hair. So it's singular. However, we have two eyes, los ojos azules. Because azul does not have a vowel at the end, we put an E in front of our S to make it plural. So los ojos azules, everything's plural and everything's masculine. Él es precioso. Now I'm describing him specifically. This is my nephew or my sister's son. Her son, su hijo. Must match hijo, not her. So él is masculine, so precioso is masculine. Both are singular. I have a daughter, una hija. So that what was una, just like we saw here, has to be una, singular, and feminine. Now here we have es morena. Morena is referring to my daughter. Therefore, and that tells us, when you say es morena, that tells us that she has darker hair, darker eyes, darker skin. And that's when we would use morena. Just like in English, we say someone's blonde. We're talking about her hair, but we also realize when we say blonde, they probably have lighter eyes of some lighter color, as well as lighter skin. We have kind of more information when we say somebody's blonde. Morena is used the same way in Spanish. Los ojos de ella. Here we're now talking about her eyes, but instead of using the adjective sus, I'm saying the eyes of her is literally what I'm saying. We do not have a possessive s in Spanish, so this could be my daughter's eyes. No possessive s. We have to shift things. So once again, what we're really focusing on is what comes first. And in this case, it's the eyes. They happen to belong to her. De ella. We would not use this kind of structure in English. We would say, like my daughter's, like I said, but we would never say she's eyes. But my daughter's eyes we would. So that's slightly different between the two languages, but it's correct here in Spanish. Los ojos de ella son de color café. Mis padres son viejos. Everything has to match to padres, my parents. Mis has to become plural because padres is plural. Son matches because it's they. And then the adjective also has to match. Os, viejos. Everything defaults to masculine, just like it does in English. We say, hey guys, and it could be a group of guys and gals. Same thing in Spanish. Everything reverts to the masculine. So even though I have a mother and a father, when I group them together for my parents, they become masculine. Notice, padres is parents. Parientes is relatives. That's a false cognate. It looks like parents, but it does not mean parents. And you have that in your vocabulary. So everything has to follow beyond that. And so I want you to look at the rest on your own and make sure that you contact me with any questions. I don't want to make this too long for you, so hasta luego.